I'm FNGR, aka ForNoGoodReason. Today, we're back with Critical Thought. You may have seen any of the following videos. That's a rarity, let's keep it that way. A dangerous brony on Twitter, therapy rarity. Critical Thought is therapy rarity, question mark. Or my country, 'tis of thee, dear therapy rarity on Fan Frenzy. I've been doing these for a while now, and in case you haven't seen any of these, therapy rarity is a dangerous, minor attracted person who doesn't mind sexually interacting with kids online. Though they've stated for the record that they've stopped. I will be including a Google Doc at the end of this, including a private discussion that I had with the individual. I intend to probably read that off with a stream later. I know Webkick said they were interested in coming forward, giving their thoughts and interactions with Critical Thought. If you already believe that I've proven Critical Thought is therapy rarity based on the Spotify account, with the music playlist literally called therapy rarity, I thought to myself, well, I mean, it wouldn't take much for a malicious fan, mine or otherwise, to simply grab a picture of Critical Thought off of Twitter, make the account and add the playlist. That's not as fast of a slam dunk. I've been through Critical Thought's Twitter up and down, and one of the powers that be in the Brony fandom, one of the higher-ups insisted I do everything in my power to be 100% certain when I do this. So, legally there are two standards of evidence, one in civil court that is called the preponderance of the evidence. It's in simple math terms 51% more likely than not. In criminal cases, it's called beyond a reasonable doubt. Beyond a reasonable doubt is a higher standard of proof that must be met in any trial. Well, any criminal trial. I was going to make a big speech about being beyond any shadow of a doubt, but all things considered, I feel like I can knock this out of the park at a criminal level. So let's get this started. I know I'm not offering actual legal advice. Here is Critical Thought retweeting about a piece of ASMR content called Pampered Rarity. Here is Therapy Rarity talking about the same piece of content being the inspiration for Therapy Rarity's account. An extra bonus to make as a game to my audience down below, if you feel at any point in time that I've made my case that it's abundantly clear that Critical Thought is therapy rarity, feel free to upvote. If I have failed, please hit downvote to let me know whether I'm being accurate or not. Naturally, there's the comments section as well. Let's get to the next damning piece of evidence. Here is a Twitter chain between Cherry Days and Critical Thought, where Critical Thought claims to have not had sex in 6 years. Here is Therapy Rarity mentioning the same. If you look at the top of this post, it says an amateur porn star is willing to sell her time, but his anxiety handicapped him. Speaking of anxiety, going back to Critical Thought, here is Critical Thought's response to Cherry Days getting ready for BronyCon using a means sweating up a storm. Here is Critical Thought buying a video called My Little Plush Fuck of Cherry Days. Here is Critical Thought saying that he has to pass because this will trigger his sexual anxiety. Here is Critical Thought confessing to cross-dressing. There is a very mature picture of Therapy Rarity I can't show you on YouTube that is on his Twitter. I have since screenshotted it. Clearly, I can't show that here. And to be fair, I don't think you'd enjoy it. But my point here is the remark here from Critical Thought on cross-dressing lines up with some of the more graphic pictures that are posted on Therapy Rarity's Twitter. On a bonus note, the lower half of Therapy Rarity's body matches up with Critical Thought's body type. They are both husky. Here is where Therapy Rarity states they are active in the fandom under other names, and if their thoughts got out, it would ruin their identity. Here is the exact same tweet from TrotCon that Therapy Rarity and Critical Thought both retweeted. Critical Thought has the same post as Therapy Rarity. Here is where Therapy Rarity talks about fantasizing about his grandma. Here is where Critical Thought talks about his grandmother watching his content. Therapy Rarity and Critical Thought both live in Massachusetts. This in and of itself is not a damning fact, but when you roll together, they both have crippling anxiety with sex, they both live in the same state, they both went to BronyCon, they both know Cherry Days. Let's just confirm that. This is from Critical Thought, who seems to be glued to Cherry on Twitter. Here is a message that I got from a fan, he goes by Mueller. Here is where Therapy Rarity is talking about Cherry and getting her panties, stating that he is 25, which if anyone knows Critical Thought's age, that could be very well one more confirmation if we can find out that Critical Thought is roughly around 25, 26, in that ballpark. This is a much smaller fact, but Critical Thought retweeted this picture here and Therapy Rarity has used it. Here is Critical Thought talking about the lack of quality women that he's been with. Here is where Therapy Rarity said the best girl he's been with is about a 6. Here is Critical Thought talking about improving his life after BronyCon. Here is Therapy Rarity talking about improving their lives post BronyCon. So, is it possible that these are two different people? with sexual anxiety, both from Massachusetts, both with similar body types, both that went to BronyCon, both with fixations on cherry days, both with relatively similar Twitter histories to Art and TrotCon. The only way that this makes sense that critical thought isn't therapy rarity, which is something he didn't even deny when I spoke to him recently, I would actively have to be going out of my way to make up information on therapy rarity. I would have to have had a pre-existing grudge against critical thought. Did I know critical thought before any of this? I suppose it's possible I might have come across them, being how I've hosted a channel called Analysis Daily, but I don't recall having any kind of at-length discussion. I've given critical thought every opportunity to come forward, and the only time where therapy rarity spoke to me the other day was to simply assure me he had totes stopped being a minor attracted person and wanted to thank me for it, but then at the same time said that if I did not stop that he would be seeking legal action. Dear critical thought, aka therapy rarity, no, thank you, fuck you, bye. So here's a little added bonus. I remember finding this on Critical Thought's Twitter. I die a little inside whenever I experience a project Webcake was involved with, because I know it's all my fault. We're no longer friends, and I regret not putting more effort in. So I went on to go ask Webcake about this. I passed this along, looking into this guy currently, and found this. Anything that you feel comfortable sharing. Oh, him. Yeah, I stopped being his friend because he told me and the Western MA Bronies group he was into kids. What? How long ago? Oh god. Back in 2016. I can't remember. But it's been several years ago. Can I use this? That's therapy rarity. Wait, that's the same person? Here, one sec. Oh my god. Webcake did give me permission to use this. Again, if anybody else has any more information, or moreover, if anyone from that, what's it called, Western MA Bronies would like to come forward about this. So even if critical thought, for whatever reason, isn't therapy rarity, there is certainly the accusation that he's into kids and has been so as far back as 2 to 3 years ago. And again, keep in mind, in that 2 to 3 year period of time, therapy rarity claims to have just kicked the habit because I've helped him see the light. I'll leave that to your decision, and I hope to hear from you all soon.